Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, we will see how to plan migration or modernization of your applications to Azure with Azure Migrate. Let's first look at the plan phase. With Azure Migrate, you can discover different workflows such as ASP.NET Web Applications, SQL Server, Windows Server, Linux Server, etc., and group these workloads appropriately to define applications. Specifically, talking in terms of migration or modernization of applications, the new application assessment capability is designed to provide a thorough understanding of readiness and blockers for migration or modernization of workloads comprising your application. Ideal migration strategy, whether it be rehost or replatform, based on your specific migration intent or preferences. Recommendations for the target Azure service, right-size SKU, estimated costs, and the reasoning behind these recommendations, and migration guidance, outlining the steps you need to take to migrate or modernize your application using the recommended approach. Before you assess and effectively plan migration of your multi-tiered applications to Azure, you must ensure that all prerequisites for the successful discovery of workloads comprising the applications are met, and all discovery issues highlighted in Action Center are resolved. To learn more about the prerequisites, visit aka.ms/azuremigrate/discovery, and to create minimum privilege credentials to discover workloads, refer to aka.ms/azuremigrate/discovery privileges. It is also recommended that you create a business case to identify ROI for migration or modernization based on your intent to modernize or migrate in short amount of time. Once discovery is successfully completed, from the overview, click on Create Assessment. In this demo, we will assess two applications, AirSonic and Parts Unlimited. On the assessment creation screen, put a friendly assessment name and add the applications to the assessment scope. AirSonic, which is a Java web app supported by a PG-SQL database, and Parts Unlimited is a net web app with a SQL DB backend. Further, as you create an assessment, you can select the region in which you want to deploy the application, the environment of the application, the desired offer or plan, pay-as-you-go or enterprise agreement, etc. Additionally, you can modify workload-specific advanced settings, such as preferred pass services for your web tier. The workload-specific settings will appear based on the type of workloads in the assessment scope. Having selected the desired settings, we will now proceed to create the assessment. The application assessment provides you recommendations based on your migration preference. In this case, our preference is to modernize, as that approach accrues substantial savings. The application assessment will provide you with all possible migration paths, like pass preferred, pass only, lift and shift with Azure VM, or migrate with AVS. You can compare amongst the paths based on the top highlights like Azure readiness, total cost of ownership, estimated savings, etc. Here it is evident that we can easily replatform the workloads comprising the application. Azure Migrate automatically recommends the best possible target services for the workloads comprising your application. For the AirSonic application, the assessment recommends taking the PG-SQL DB to Azure Flexible Server for PostgreSQL and the Web App to App Service. Going deeper, we can see the SKU and cost details for the respective workloads, as well as the recommended migration tooling. Similarly, for Parts Unlimited, the assessment is recommending us to replatform the data tier to Azure SQL Managed Instance and the web tier to app service. Along with this, Azure Migrate also allows you to visualize code changes that would be required for application modernization. The code insights can be imported from Cast Highlights or GitHub Copilot code assessments. To start, let's pull code insights from Cast Highlights. Just click on Add Code Insights. Create a new connection with the token that can be fetched from Cast Highlights dashboard or by using your Cast credentials. Once the connection is established, map the application name and pull the code changes. Now you can view the code changes required for Parts Unlimited to modernize. You can also see that the assessment quality enhanced with this as the application needed code changes, and thus the migration strategy was changed to refactor. That said, at any point of time, you can modify your preference, and Azure Migrate will recommend the appropriate strategy for each workload powering the application. So if you are pressed for time, you can update the preference to modernize. And as you can see now, Azure Migrate recommends a lift and shift strategy over a modernization strategy for the workloads powering the application. You can also create an application assessment, covering all application in your data center, by simply selecting All Workloads from All Inventory View and selecting Create Assessment. After the planning phase comes the Execute phase. Once discovery and assessment are completed and you have built a high-confidence migration plan, you can leverage Azure Data Studio, Azure Database Migration Service, DMS, and SQL Server Migration Assistant to modernize the data tier of your applications. Azure Migrate Containerization Toolkit, App Service Migration Assistant, Azure Migrate Application and Code Assessment Tool to modernize the web tier of your applications, and Azure Migrate Server Migration capability to lift and shift your servers to Azure virtual machines. Thank you for watching this video.